That was a big hit. Give me a second.
Punch in the face.
And of course, I'm like, we need to talk about COVID. Cough, 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 cough. That's terrific too.
Can we just talk about COVID
I'm
for a
not
minute?
talking about the actual health part and the parts that people argue about. I don't want to get into all that. I'm just talking about the financial part of it because I want to talk about Moderna. So we'll try to make it fairly quick here. But let's take a look here if we possibly can. First of all, there's been some international changes to how people are doing it. It's becoming a very large gap on what kind of mandates and laws there are based on this around the world. Spain's talking about a partial smoking ban because you'd have to take your mask off to smoke, right?
Oh, Jesus.
And you know that eagle we were just talking about? Well, now there's an app that can detect your coronavirus from the sound of cough. So wait a minute, you're going to make people quit smoking, which is going to make long-term smokers start coughing. You better be sure on this whole sound of a cough thing. You know what I mean?
You should. I doubt that that's possible.
Yeah, meanwhile...
I think most coughs sound pretty similar.
Who knows? Meanwhile, not far from there, Britain lines up more potential COVID vaccine supplies from Johnson & Johnson and Novavax, okay? So here's where I want to start talking about what we've been talking about. It's companies that are trying to come up with a cure, okay? And we've been talking about this, and we've been talking about how Johnson & Johnson seem to be at the forefront and a company I would at least to a reasonable degree trust to do it correctly. And we here in the States did not make a deal with Johnson & Johnson. That's not what we did. Britain did. What about in other places? India says they're going to start producing shit too. They're getting close to one as well. I don't know if you saw it. Putin says they got one that's finished, but he kind of got debunked because they didn't do any trials or something crazy like that. But here in the States, man, the U.S. has already invested billions into potential coronavirus vaccines. And here's where the deals stand. Now, obviously, we want them to find a cure, but it's real easy for the federal government to waste money. So here's where we're at. There's 139 different things that they're starting with, and you can see how this graph works. Things that are close to getting approved are 7. That's stuff that's in phase 3 trials, which is what we were talking about Putin not having. So far for approval, 0, but supposedly we're getting close. Now, here's the part I want to talk about. Let's go back a little bit, if we possibly can. And let's talk about what happened right here. Moderna announces supply agreement with the U.S. government for the initial 100 million doses of vaccine against COVID-19. All right, and we've been talking about this a couple of weeks, man. Ooh, excuse me. That is enough vaccine for a third of the country. Okay, well and good. But I have concerns about Moderna. It's not so much that if they found something that goes through trials, great, fine. We'll see how it goes. But I definitely have concerns about a company like Moderna. If you don't remember how all this came about, Moderna was reasonably small before this. And then, whoops, the Gates Foundation put down $20 million on Moderna to develop this vaccine.
Yep, I remember
that. Okay, you remember talking about this before? That can be
Did
questionable.
that say March 2016?
That's right, I told you, we gotta take it back a little bit. Remember, we talked about this when it happened. We've been on this since the beginning. Okay, so once they got that 20 million, remember what happened next? It looked like they had it, stock went up, their executives Enron'd it. They bailed out, sold their fucking shares, and left.
Yep.
That happened on an $89 million deal when they got a bump off a Gates Foundation donation. I remember.
$1.
What do you think happens when the U.S. government says these are the guys? Believe it or not, there's still time to buy into Moderna stock and profit. And by the way, can we just talk about how when we were first talking about it, it was under this. It was in the 30s when we first brought it up, and at its high was $95. If we'd have listened to ourselves, we would have tripled our money. We would have tripled our money.
One or both of us said the specific words, you should buy stock in Moderna now. You should buy
Moderna now. And we were 100% right. It tripled. It tripled. But when they got a smaller bump in it, people already sold out of their fucking stock. So what would make me believe that these guys aren't still going to try to cut and run like Enron after this huge fucking stock increase? Now, it's gone down from 95 and change at the moment, but the predictions are that it's going to go over 100 soon because of all of this. So what's to stop them from taking the money, running, then breaching the contract and leaving the accountability for that at a company they are no longer affiliated with, which is literally exactly what fucking Enron.
I'm not a criminal. I'm an artist working in an unpopular medium.
Can I just speak to you? I mean, really speak to you like man to man. I've known you for a long time, William. And I know about your penchant for spying on women.